Alright people, here we go. I hope you're well. Revid's back again, obviously, for another round of my silly film madness. Now, this episode is in regards to made-for-TV films, and some of these I was quite surprised to find out through my research that they actually were indeed made-for-television films, because they're actually, quite well done and such. Aussie film called Bad Blood with Jack Thompson. I hardly recall this one, to be honest. I haven't watched it for about 20 years. But it was sort of like a hostage situation thing with, from memory, a bit of a bleak ending. But, I mean, from the way I recall it, it was quite interesting. By no means a, rewatchable classic or anything like that, but it was definitely worth a look, from the way I recall it. Now, we have another Australian one here, which I absolutely love, and unfortunately it's very rarely heard of, and it's called Blood Money with Brian Brown. Now, it's only a very scant 64 minutes, but it's like a bank heist type film, similar to Money Movers, I guess, with probably the most bleakest ending and saddest ending I've seen to a film ever. I'm not going to give it away for you guys that haven't seen it. I have seen cheapy Australian DVDs kicking around in the stores, but as for the quality of those, I really don't know, but massively recommended. As I say, this is another made-for-TV film. Now, one that surprised the shit out of me was that I learned a couple of years ago that The Park Is Mine is actually a made-for-TV American film. You wouldn't know it by watching it. It is reasonably violent. I wouldn't say it's full of blood or anything like that, but honestly, I never suspected this was a TV film. So the Blu-ray is extremely good quality. It's a Kino Lorber release, and I massively recommend that one. Here's the Australian VHS, which I actually wore out, to be honest. I watched it that many times. Quite a frightening one, this one. Excuse me, similar to Threads. The Day After, from memory, that was quite a good one as well. But it has been, again, a long time since I've delved onto that one. Yeah, unfortunately, I've only got the old Roadshow Carlton VHS. I don't have a disc of that, even though the disc does exist. Threads, what can I say? This was a made-for-UK series initially. It's compiled into a film here on Blu-ray. Severin did a fantastic job, and it has one of those lenticular covers, as you can see. Pretty frightening stuff. I first seen that film when I was very young. I would have been about 10 years old, and it scared the living fuck out of me. So, yeah, Mum found out that me and my brother watched it, and she went fucking mental at us, because it was, I mean, it still is a horrific film, you know. Another one I found it hard to believe was a TV film. Dark Night of the Scarecrow. Fantastic film. Again, I really need to upgrade this to the Blu-ray. The Australian VHS on Showcase here is rated PG. But yeah, the ratings back then on Australian tapes were quite bizarre. But that's a very good one. Bit of an oddity here with George Hamilton, Death Car. It's also known as something like Death Car on the Freeway or something or other. I can't remember the other alternate title, but look, at the time I didn't think that was that great, but I need to go back and rewatch this one, because I have talked about it with other people and they've said it's really quite a good film, so I need to get back into this one. Now, the artwork on this, as some of you guys would have realised, is the artwork that was used for Death Promise, sorry. So, I don't know, that did happen, I guess, back in the yesteryear. They reused artwork from other films. Excuse me. The old Sundowner tape of Gargoyles, again, another made-for-TV film. Used to play on the old creature feature horror films that used to play very late at night here in Australia back in the 1980s. And this was one of them that used to play all the time. And as a boy, I loved this film, and I still do. Alright, now, Secret of Seagull Island. Believe it or not, this was initially a made-for-TV, Italian TV, series, and I think there was about 4 parts or something like that. They actually condensed it down into a film which sort of explains the choppy editing of this film. I mean, but I still dig it. I still dig watching this tape, and I've always wanted to see the series itself, but I've never been able to get my hands on it. I think, from memory, there was like a German release on DVD with subtitles and such in Italian language, but I need to delve onto getting that because it's quite a good film. Another one that I keep raving about, the FBI Murders. Obviously another made-for-TV film, and it actually has David Soul, who was in Starsky and Hutch, and Michael Gross from Tremors, and numerous other fantastic films. And this was really, really great. I mean, actually seeing, you know, David Soul and Michael Gross, you know, play absolutely despicable roles, especially Michael Gross. You know, you're sort of used to seeing him as this fun guy in Tremors and this wholesome man in Family Ties or whatever it was called, and he's a real piece of work in this. Like, fantastic, fantastic film. Tons of violence. Quite bloody, I'll tell you that. It's quite bloody, given the shootouts on the street and such. Especially for a made-for-TV film. And massively recommended. It wasn't too expensive. This was like a cheap DVD, but the print quality is fantastic. Now, this one's actually out on disc now on Blu-ray, and it scared the piss out of me. One of my phobias, everyone has their phobias, whether it be sharks, spiders, or whatever. For me, it's ghosts. I don't know. Ever since I was a little boy, I've been terrified by ghosts, and honestly, The Entity and this film scared the fuck out of me. I only ever watched this film once. Just like the shadow people and stuff that are in this film just terrified me when I watched it 20 odd years ago, whatever it was, and it is a good one. Now, another one, Nightwing, was actually a TV film as well. I haven't watched this for a long, long time. I do recall Nightwing was quite a good film. There is a Blu-ray these days, but again, another I need to upgrade to. Now, unfortunately, one we don't have on disc is this piece of fantastic work called Savages, with Andy Griffith and Sam Bottoms, who was in Hunter's Blood and a few other great films. It's absolutely fantastic, sort of like a cat and mouse type scenario out in the desert. I cannot recommend Savages enough. Yeah, as far as I know, there still is no disc or Blu-ray. I am hoping one day we do get one, but yeah, the print quality on this old UK VHS is fantastic. It took me a long time to track this down. So I did copy it to my hard drive, and I've run off a few copies for friends, and they all loved it too. Very recommended. Wheels of Terror, bit of an oddity this one. It's a remake of The Car, again a made-for-TV film. And look, back when this first came out, I really didn't like it. But I rewatched it a couple of years ago and I loved it. I mean, go figure, that seems to happen with me a lot. When I reappraise films, I really dig them much more. And yeah, Wheels of Terror is fantastic. As I say, it's a blatant rip-off of The Car, but it's done really well. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark has a Blu-ray release as well now. Fantastic. This is the extremely old Sundowner Lorimar tape. Very good, very creepy. I think a lot of you guys watching this have probably seen it, but another massive recommendation. Alright, now another one that surprised me, it was a TV film, was Graveyard Disturbance. And this is a Lamberto Bava film. And it's fun. Look, obviously being a TV film, it's not full of gore and violence and whatnot, but honestly, man, it's a really fun film. It's a beer and pizza film. Just don't take it too seriously. Kick back, have a few laughs. It's that type of cinema, do you know what I mean? I think if you guys gave it a go, you'd probably dig it. It's quite good. Fulci's House of Clocks. Alright, now this was a made-for-Italian TV film. I think it runs about 80 minutes, so it's sort of just scant of a film's running time. And it was part of a series they screened in Italy in the 90s called House of Doom. Now, what they had on the House of Doom series was Fulci films and Umberto Lenzi films, and they also made an offshoot series called High Tension, which mainly was Lamberto Bava films. So, yeah, as I say, the Fulci ones were the House of Doom series, and this is House of Clocks, and it's absolutely fantastic. If you've seen this film, you will be astonished that this thing actually played on TV. It's full of gore, and I mean absolutely full of gore. Very bloody, very fantastic, very underrated. House of Clocks is amazing. Now, Fulci did another one in that series called Sweet House of Horrors, and I really couldn't get into it. I love For T.V Films. I'm somewhat a For T.V compellist, but yeah, this just didn't do it for me. It was like diggers get possessed and fly around, and I don't know. I don't even hardly want to talk about it. I will probably give it another go at some point, but it was just too silly. You would never know it was a For T.V film, put it that way. Now, the Lenzi ones in the House of Doom series, he did House of Lost Souls, which is fantastic. Again, it is quite bloody, quite violent, and as I said with the For T.V films, I'm quite astonished these things played on TV. Even though it was Italian TV, they are, believe me, they're pretty full on. Lenzi's other one from the series was House of Witchcraft. Again, I absolutely love this one too. Very recommended. I don't think we have Blu-rays of these yet, so these are the old UK Vipco DVDs, but don't let that put you off. Vipco are pretty cheap and such, but honestly, man, the print quality on these is really quite nice. And as I say, of all the House of Doom series, I would recommend House of Clocks. There is DVDs of this, and I really need to upgrade, even though the Japan VHS is superb quality. The tape is, you know, obviously going to wear out at some point or get mold or whatever, so it's another I need to upgrade. Okay, people, that's all I've managed to dig out from my made-for-TV collection, and we'll wrap it up at that. I'll have to come up with some idea for the next one. I'm actually unsure as to what, but we shall see what I can do. Alright, people, take it easy.